Are you former homosexual?
That was part of my struggle. I never identified myself as gay.
Yeah.
I was somebody that was sitting in the church and had this secret struggle in my life and didn't feel like I had anybody that I could talk to. Are you with MySpace? Or,
no.
YouTube?
I put my stuff on YouTube,
yes. Yeah. Okay, I don't want to talk to you.
At the 2007 Value Voters Summit, leading Republican presidential candidates pandered for votes among the right-wing Christian movement their party relies upon each election season. With the threat of another Clinton presidency looming, the stakes were high.
Here's the point. We have never, in my history, never been in an election where we could lose everything we have ever done in the last 3.5 decades with one vote. Or we could gain everything we have worked for with the next president and the next Supreme Court judge.
If president, I'll also work with the people in this room as I have for the past 4 years to champion a federal marriage amendment to protect marriage as the union of man and woman.
Despite his warm reception, Mitt Romney's Mormon religion remained a source of discomfort among leading evangelical activists.
I mean, take a look at really what he believes. He believes that Jesus Christ is Satan's brother. Are you kidding me?
You and I know that I'm not a perfect person. I've made mistakes in my life, but I've always done the best that I could to try to learn from them.
So what's wrong with Giuliani then?
Well, the foundational issue, from our standpoint, 3 marriages is painful. You know,
he's had 3 marriages.
It's for abortion. It's hard to do. It's for abortion. And he's for homosexual marriage.
Did Giuliani's cross-dressing matter to you?
Well, it's just evidence of his lack of commitment to our understanding.
Sometimes we talk about why are we importing so many people in our workforce. It might be because for the last 35 years we have aborted more than 1 million people who would have been in our workforce had we not had the Holocaust of liberalized abortion under a flawed Supreme Court ruling in 1973.
Governor Huckabee, you said that workers wouldn't have to be imported if babies weren't aborted. Could you expound on that and explain how the fetuses that have been aborted would be cutting lawns and making beds today?
Well, I don't know what they would be doing. They might be university professors, and they might be reporters for television stations. You know, I don't know.
Well, we're not. I wasn't imported.
Okay, but I'm just saying we don't know what they would have been. That's the real tragedy. We don't know.
But you're saying they would displace
a cure for cancer. They might have found a cure for AIDS. They might have been able to. Lead this country in finding a new energy source. We'll never know because they never, ever saw the light.
You seem to be suggesting that they would displace illegal workers. Isn't that correct?
I'm making a simple statement that if you have 1 million people a year who could have been a part of our culture who are not, what part they would play in the workforce, I don't know. But they clearly would have had some role to play. They would have been a part of our culture and society and workforce.
Christian right activists like to call themselves value voters. So what values do these voters believe in?
I sat for over 4 hours in Mitt Romney's family room with he and his wife, Ann. And it became very clear to me that he is clearly with us. Now, homosexuality is very clearly a gender identity confusion.
You said that the lifestyle is very seductive and it's hard to get out of it.
Well, it's a groove. You get in that groove and you're up the creek without a paddle. But remember, homosexuality could strike you. It could strike this man here taking the picture.
How could it strike me?
Because you could go into a gender identity confusion because it is a psychological imbalance.
Yeah.
Something happens in a person's life. It's not only, it becomes a spirit.
Abortion now is the #1 killer of black women between 25 and 34. We wanted sodomites quarantined.
We teach that abstinence, being abstinent is just the 100% safe way to go.
And you've received federal funding from the Bush administration.
I believe so.
You had an abortion, you were on welfare.
I didn't have one, I had a lot of abortions.
You had a lot of abortions.
Well, I think there's lots of ways that you can show your love.
Like
besides
hand holding?
Yeah, and there's several things, I think.
Kissing?
I think that'd be like a personal...
But you guys don't oppose kissing or making out?
No.
Okay.
That's really awkward.
What about...
Because I did anything and everything that folks say you can do, I did do. Why not? I had no reason not to. And when I started understanding the law of God, I organized my life.
There seems to be a problem in the Republican Party with closet homosexuality. Larry Craig, for example. Why could...
Well, no, it hasn't been proven. Larry hasn't admitted that he's a homosexual. I know Larry personally.
I know there's an issue. Do you have a good relationship with Larry Craig?
Oh yeah, we've done things together, and I'm a lobbyist in the Congress.
Okay.
So I know many of the senators.
And Larry Craig has been helpful on bills you've lobbied for.
Oh yeah, a lot of bills, yes.
But under a biblical order, I mean, would the death penalty be imposed for blaspheming, homosexuality?
I guess in that time it was.
But what about it?
What about today?
Yeah.
That's a great question. Again, I would want to be careful to say that we want to do what God says we should do.
So under a Christian order, there'd be no more public schools?
Ideally.
The Islamo-fascists are here as well as elsewhere. We are not simply confronting them on distant shores.
Do you agree with Representative Peter King that there are too many mosques in America?
Yes, I do, and I think they ought to investigate if they are training people who want to kill us in these mosques.
And President Bush does not want to be a racist or a bigot. And people around him do not want him or them to be racist or bigots. And consequently, what have they done? On repeated occasions, they have embraced Islamo-fascists.
Some value voters weren't comfortable with my presence at their summit. But I still managed to stick around long enough to witness the evening's tribute to James Dobson, founder of the Colorado Mega Ministry Focus on the Family, and today the most powerful figure of the Christian right.
Please help me welcome Dr. James Dobson.
In his speech, James Dobson warned the Republicans of dire consequences if they nominated a pro-choice politician like Rudy Giuliani.
They talk about the lesser of two evils. Choose the lesser. Well, the only problem with that is when you choose a lesser of two evils, you've still chosen evil. And it leads to compromise. And I tell you, I can't do that.
But it was up to the thrice-married serial adulterer and former House Majority Leader Newt Gingrich to give the value voters their battle instructions.
It's very simple. We go to the polls, we mobilize all of our friends, we defeat them. They get to go home and write memoirs, and we get to make sure America moves in the right direction. Once again, thank you.
So we're going to see a lot more proms disrupted because two kings that want to make a big fuss or two queens, and you know, it's the restrooms. You know, how are you going to segregate restrooms? It just goes on and on.